My brothers and sisters, there is a battle inside you that no one else can see. A battle between what you feel and what you should do. A moment of anger that can destroy everything. A moment of sadness that can break your strength. A moment of impulse that can change your life. And most people lose this battle every single day. Not because they are weak, but because they never train their mind. But imagine this. What if you could stay calm when everything is falling apart? What if you could control your emotions instead of being controlled by them? What if no situation, no person, no feeling could shake your inner peace? This is not impossible, but it requires discipline. It requires awareness. It requires control. Because the one who masters his emotions masters his life. And the one who masters his life walks the path that leads back to Allah. One, your emotions are a test. My brothers and sisters, every emotion you feel is a test from Allah. It is important to understand that emotions themselves are not the problem. They are part of how Allah created us. The real test is not what you feel, but how you respond to what you feel. When anger rises inside you, that moment is a test. When your heart feels hurt because of someone's words, that is a test. When you feel jealousy looking at someone else's blessings, that too is a test. These moments are not sent to destroy you, but to expose the condition of your heart and to give you an opportunity to rise higher in character and faith. Many people think that being a good person means never feeling anger, sadness, or jealousy. This is not true. Even the best of people felt emotions. But what made them al-azim in the sight of Allah was their control over those emotions. They did not allow their feelings to push them into dhulm, harsh words, or regretful actions. Instead, they paused, reflected, and chose what pleases Allah over what pleases their nafses. Anyone can remain calm when everything is going well. It is easy to smile when life is comfortable, when people respect you, and when nothing disturbs your peace. But the true strength of a believer appears when emotions are intense, when the heart is shaken, and when the nafs is pushing you to react. That is the moment when your iman is tested. That is the moment when your character is revealed. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us a powerful principle. The strong person is not the one who defeats others in strength, but the one who controls himself when angry. This teaching changes the entire definition of strength. Real strength is not loud, aggressive, or emotional. Real strength is quiet control. It is the ability to hold your tongue when you want to speak harshly, to walk away when you want to argue, and to forgive when your ego demands revenge. Think about how many times emotions have led people to regret. A few seconds of anger can damage relationships built over years. A moment of jealousy can fill the heart with darkness. A reaction driven by emotion can take away your peace for days. This is why controlling emotions is not just a good habit. It is a necessity for a peaceful life and a strong connection with Allah. So ask yourself honestly, when emotions rise within you, who is in control? Are you leading your emotions with awareness and faith, or are your emotions leading you without control? The answer to this question will define the direction of your life. Because the one who learns to control emotions does not just gain self-control. He gains clarity, peace, and the ability to make decisions that bring him closer to Allah rather than pushing him away. 2. Your mind must lead, not your feelings. My brothers and sisters, one of the biggest reasons people struggle in life is because they allow their feelings to lead them instead of their mind. Feelings are powerful, but they are unstable. They change quickly, sometimes within moments. You may wake up feeling motivated, hopeful, and strong, but by the evening you may feel tired, frustrated, or even lost. If your actions depend only on how you feel, then your life will always be inconsistent, moving up and down with every emotional wave. Islam teaches us something deeper. You are not meant to be a follower of your feelings. You are meant to be a leader over them. Allah has given you intellect, awareness, and guidance so that you can choose what is right even when it is difficult. Your mind, when guided by faith, becomes a compass that keeps you steady even when your emotions are pulling you in different directions. Think about this carefully. When you feel lazy, your feelings will tell you to delay your salah. When you feel angry, your feelings will push you to speak harshly. When you feel hurt, your emotions may tempt you to distance yourself from others or respond with coldness. But in all of these moments, your mind knows what is right. Your mind reminds you to pray on time, to stay silent instead of hurting someone, to respond with patience instead of reacting with pain. The struggle between your mind and your feelings is happening constantly within you. The problem is that many people have trained themselves without realizing it to obey their feelings. They say, I don't feel like doing this, and they stop. I don't feel good, and they withdraw. I'm upset, and they react. Over time, this creates a pattern of weakness where emotions become the decision maker. And when emotions lead, regret often follows. But the believer trains his mind to take control. He understands that doing what is right is not always connected to how he feels. Sometimes you will pray without feeling focused. Sometimes you will be patient while your heart is boiling inside. Sometimes you will do al-khair even when you feel unappreciated. This is not hypocrisy. This is discipline. This is strength. When your mind leads, your actions become stable. You no longer depend on motivation or emotional highs. You act with purpose. You choose patience even when anger is strong. You choose silence even when your ego wants to speak. You choose obedience to Allah even when your desires are pulling you elsewhere. And this is where true growth begins. Because when you stop following your feelings blindly and start guiding them with your mind and faith, you gain control over your life. You become steady, reliable, and strong in your character. So reflect on this. Are you living based on what you feel or based on what is right? Because the one who follows his feelings will always struggle. But the one who leads with his mind, guided by faith, will find stability, clarity, and a path that leads him closer to Allah. 3. Controlling anger is true power. My brothers and sisters, anger is one of the strongest emotions a human being can feel. It rises quickly, it clouds the mind, and it pushes a person to act without thinking. In many cases, it is not the situation itself that causes damage, but the reaction that follows anger. A few seconds of uncontrolled anger can destroy relationships that took years to build, break trust that may never return, and leave behind words that cannot be taken back. This is why Islam places such a strong emphasis on controlling anger. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that true strength is not found in physical power, but in the ability to control oneself at the moment of anger. This means that the real victory is not in winning arguments or overpowering others, but in mastering your own reaction when your emotions are at their peak. When anger takes over, it creates a sense of urgency. It makes you feel like you must respond immediately, like you must defend yourself, like you must say something right now. But this is exactly where the test lies. The believer understands that not every feeling requires an instant reaction. In fact, the strongest response is often to pause, to remain silent, and to give yourself time before speaking or acting. Think about how many times people regret what they said in anger. Words spoken in those heated moments often do not reflect who you truly are, but they still leave a lasting impact. Hearts are hurt, relationships are strained, and sometimes even small arguments turn into lifelong distance. All of this can begin from a single moment where anger was not controlled. Controlling anger does not mean that you do not feel it. It means that you do not allow it to control your actions. You may feel the heat rising inside you, but you choose to stay quiet. You may feel disrespected, but you choose dignity over reaction. You may feel provoked, but you choose patience over pride. This is not weakness. This is discipline. This is strength. One of the most powerful things you can do when anger rises is to create distance between you and your reaction. Change your position, step away from the situation, or remain silent until your heart settles. Remember Allah in that moment, because when you bring Allah into your thoughts, your perspective begins to change. You start to realize that maintaining your character is more important than winning a temporary argument. The person who controls anger protects not only their relationships, but also their own peace. Because anger, when left unchecked, does not just harm others, it harms you. It disturbs your heart, steals your calm, and fills your mind with regret. So understand this deeply. Anger itself is not the enemy, but losing control is. The one who learns to manage anger becomes powerful in a way that most people never achieve. He becomes someone who cannot be easily shaken, someone who responds with wisdom instead of reaction, and someone whose strength is seen not in loudness but in control. And this is true power. 4. Not every feeling deserves a reaction. My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest signs of emotional maturity is understanding that not every feeling you experience requires a response. We live in a time where people are encouraged to react to everything they feel. If they feel upset, they speak immediately. If they feel disrespected, they respond instantly. If they feel hurt, they express it without reflection. But this habit slowly weakens the heart and disturbs the peace of the soul. Just because you feel something does not mean you must act on it. Feelings are temporary. They rise and fall, often influenced by situations, misunderstandings, or even your own state of mind. If you react to every emotion, you will find yourself constantly pulled into unnecessary conflict, regret, and emotional exhaustion. Think about how many times you felt something strongly in a moment, but later realized it was not worth reacting to. Perhaps you felt ignored by someone, but later understood they were simply busy. Perhaps you felt hurt by a comment, but later realized it was not meant the way you perceived it. Perhaps you felt anger rising, but if you had waited a little longer, that anger would have faded on its own. This is why reacting instantly is dangerous, because emotions do not always reflect reality. The believer learns to pause. He does not allow every feeling to turn into an action. He creates space between what he feels and what he does. In that space, there is clarity. In that pause, there is wisdom, and in that restraint, there is strength. Not every situation deserves your attention. Not every comment deserves your reply. Not every person deserves your energy. When you respond to everything, you give away your peace. You allow others to control your emotions simply by triggering a reaction from you. But when you learn to remain silent and composed, you take back control over yourself. There is strength in choosing not to react. There is dignity in walking away from what does not benefit you. There is peace in ignoring what does not deserve your attention. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Silence is not weakness, it is control. It is the ability to rise above the situation instead of being pulled down by it. This does not mean you suppress your emotions or ignore what truly matters. It means you become selective. You respond with intention, not impulse. You speak when it is beneficial, and you remain silent when it is wiser. You act when it is right, and you hold back when it is unnecessary. When you begin to live this way, your life becomes lighter. You are no longer burdened by every small thing. You are no longer emotionally drained by constant reactions. Instead, you move with calmness, stability, and control. So remember this, not everything you feel deserves a reaction. Some feelings are simply meant to pass. And when you learn to let them pass without acting on them, you protect your peace, your relationships, and your connection with Allah. 5. True peace comes from inner control. My brothers and sisters, many people spend their entire lives searching for peace in the wrong places. They believe peace will come when their problems disappear, when people treat them better, when life becomes easier, or when everything finally goes according to their plans. But the reality is that life will never be completely free of challenges. There will always be tests, difficulties, and moments that shake the heart. If your peace depends on perfect circumstances, you will spend your life chasing something that never stays. True peace does not come from outside, it comes from within. It comes from learning to control yourself, your reactions, your thoughts, and your emotions. When you gain control over what is happening inside you, what is happening outside of you begins to lose its power over you. A person who has no inner control is constantly disturbed. Small things affect them deeply. A single comment ruins their mood. A small problem feels overwhelming. The behavior of others controls their emotions. They become restless, anxious, and emotionally drained because they have handed over control of their peace to the world around them. But the one who develops inner control becomes different. He still faces problems, but he is not shaken easily. He still feels emotions, but he is not overwhelmed by them. He still goes through hardships, but he remains steady. This stability is not because his life is perfect, but because his heart is disciplined. Inner control begins with awareness. You start noticing your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. You recognize when anger is rising, when sadness is taking over, when negative thinking is increasing. Instead of immediately reacting, you pause. You remind yourself of Allah. You bring your focus back to what truly matters. This pause, this moment of awareness is where peace begins to grow. When your heart is connected to Allah, your perspective changes. You begin to understand that everything happening in your life has a purpose. You trust that Allah is in control even when things feel uncertain. This trust reduces anxiety, softens pain, and brings a calmness that cannot be explained by worldly means. The more you strengthen this connection, the less power your emotions have over you. You no longer react based on impulse. You respond with patience. You no longer panic in difficult situations. You rely on Allah. You no longer seek validation from people. You find contentment in your relationship with your Creator. This is the secret of true peace. It is not found in having everything you want, but in being in control of yourself regardless of what you have. It is the ability to remain calm in chaos, patient in hardship, and grateful in ease. And understand this deeply. Inner control is not built overnight. It is developed through consistent effort. It is built when you choose patience over anger, silence over reaction, trust over fear, and remembrance of Allah over distraction. Every time you make the right choice in a difficult moment, you strengthen your inner self. Over time, this discipline transforms you. You become someone who is not easily shaken by life. You become someone whose peace is not dependent on people or situations. You become someone who carries calmness within, no matter what is happening around you. So do not look for peace in temporary things. Do not wait for the world to become perfect. Instead, work on yourself. Train your mind. Strengthen your heart. Build your connection with Allah. Because when you gain control over yourself, you gain something far more valuable than comfort. You gain true, lasting peace. My brothers and sisters, life will always test you with emotions. There will be moments that make you angry, moments that hurt you, moments that shake your heart in ways you did not expect. But remember this. You are not defined by what you feel. You are defined by how you respond. Every time you control your anger, you grow stronger. Every time you choose patience over reaction, you rise higher. Every time you hold yourself back for the sake of Allah, you move closer to Him. This is not weakness. This is true strength. So do not let your emotions control your life. Do not let temporary feelings make permanent mistakes. Train your mind. Discipline your heart and remind yourself again and again that Allah is watching, Allah is guiding, and Allah is enough for you. Because the one who learns to control himself in this life will find peace in this world and success in the next. And that is the ultimate victory.